Been another fun week of news. The big news this week was, of course, Jurassic Park 4 has been announced. They're calling it Jurassic World, if you can believe that. Like Disney World of Dinosaurs is what I'm thinking.
Creative, yes.
So they released this sizzle reel that was kind of the pitch for one of the original ideas, and basically it's two pterodactyls flying and one eats a surfer. I'm like, who's going to watch that movie? Unless there's Godzilla fighting in it, why would we want to watch that movie?
Probably a new generation that's never even seen the original Jurassic Park and knows how amazing it is, and they shouldn't ruin the franchise with Jurassic World.
Well, the other idea that's being pitched around is that they were actually successful and the park is now open and there's all these tourists in it like a real theme park, and of course what happens?
I don't know.
Things go wrong.
Oh,
Always.
terribly wrong.
Always things go terribly wrong. However, I was really hoping that they were going to go with the original idea that I met one of the writers at South by Southwest 2 years ago who wrote the original pitch for Jurassic Park 4. And the idea was that it takes place during one, but it's the mercenary team sent by the company to steal stuff on the island as everything's going wrong. So I was really hoping that was an idea to go with, but with the title Jurassic World, I don't think that's going to happen.
That would actually work.
I think that would have been a really good idea.
I wonder if there will be raptors.
Of course it's going to be raptors, because that's all you ever see in these dinosaur movies. So up next, the big announcement for techies this week was the iPhone 5 and iOS 7 have been announced. Do you care?
As I said before, I feel like Apple is becoming more like BMW. They're not really changing the product. They're more just redefining it. Maybe the LTE is going to give you a little bit more speed, but again, that's going to drain battery life, so I don't know how they're going to counteract that. I haven't really seen any battery specs just yet. And then obviously, no external flash of any kind or memory of any kind.
Yeah, it's still not quite up to par with Android.
4-inch screen when you have people with 5-inch screens now. So
giant screens. And everyone was crazy. They were waiting for this Mac press conference. They're like, oh, it's the iPhone 5 and the cheap version that's like plastic and the real version that comes in like ugly C3PO gold. Have you seen that? It's like the ugliest gold color I've ever seen.
Okay.
It's pretty bad. And then they announced yesterday that all those apps you bought on the previous iPhones, half of them aren't going to work with your iPhone 5. You're going to have to rebuy them because it's a different.
Ouch.
Yeah, right? So
what happened to the whole Apple, living space? Why would you have to spend all this money all over again?
I don't know.
Not a good move by Apple.
I'm just like, okay, so people are they already lining up outside of stores because who cares? I mean, really, why do you want to buy the same phone that's inferior to everybody else's phones every 6 months? That's the way I look at it.
Well, it's a tribal mentality, no difference than people buying Harley Davidson. I guess they'll continue to spend their money with Apple, but unfortunately, we know what happened
with Apple.
We know what happened when Jobs left and went to Next. So we'll see in the next few years.
We shall definitely have to wait and see on that one. So up next, my exciting news: there is an ninth now Harry Potter movie. It's going to be based on one of the offshoot books that she wrote for a charity. That was also one of the school books the kids used. Wild Beasts and Where to Find Them. You don't have
This is
any idea what I'm
the
talking
first I've heard of this, and I don't think I'm very excited.
Well, okay, well, it's based on the book, and it's Luna Lovegood's great-grandfather and how he was finding all these beasts and cataloging them. So the movie's going to be based on that, set back in a period, finding monsters, dealing with magic. I'm excited. And it's being written.
Making more money.
Well, I don't really care about that because it's actually being written by J.K. Rowling. She is full on behind it. It's her project. She is writing it. She's going to pick the director. Warner Brothers is on board. But it's another Harry Potter movie. Does anybody really care? It's Harry Potter on the big screen without Harry Potter. And it's things that people love, like what's outside of Hogwarts.
And I think that's the key. I think that's what people will be drawn to, is the things they love about the Harry Potter world and they want more of. So we'll see.
I'm all about it. I'm all about it. I'm
Gavin's
ready for
all
it.
about it.
Yeah, because I freaking love Harry Potter. And it's funny because it was one of those things that people say, oh, you got to read this book. And it was actually a good book people told me to read, unlike Twilight.
It's fantastic.
Screw you people who told me, you'll love Twilight, read it. You were wrong. Wrong.
You wasted your time.
I did it, but I actually read all 3 books, and I hate to say that on camera, so we're going to have to delete that out later. All right, next up. The new Godzilla has been making the rounds. Now, here's the funny part: was every image that's released of him, the studios pull. Well, I got one early and saved it before all the studios pulled it. And if we could get it on screen, you'd actually see it. There it is. And he looks exactly like he should look, so I don't understand why the studios are like freaking out so much.
It shouldn't be a surprise.
I know.
It actually looks like N64 version of Turok, in fact.
And it's amazing how much time and effort they're putting into this to make it worthwhile, unlike that POS Matthew Broderick Iguanodon thing.
Right.
And I don't quite understand
Where
why.
they get trapped in the stadiums.
Yeah, and they have like the baby ones that are running around and flipping on gumballs.
It was pretty bad.
Bad movie. But did you know they're actually planning a whole trilogy? Like, you can go online and read the plot points of the trilogy, and basically the one that's at the end befriends Matthew Broderick and becomes like his pet, and they make a monster island with giant wasps, and there's actually giant monster battles, and it's really bad.
It sounds bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So I don't understand why they're pulling all this stuff offline. As soon as people post anything about it, you go to try to find it, been pulled by Lionsgate and all these other people. I don't understand. You want to see this kind of stuff so people aren't associating this new one with that crappy old one.
Mm-hmm. Which is what will happen.
And I think that's what everyone's afraid of. They're like, okay, yeah, no, it's Godzilla. How are you going to do it? Well, show them. Look, we're being true to the original. So there you go. Before they decide to pull it off our show, there's Godzilla.
And I think staying with the true originals, there needs to be a little bit of a corn factor. It can't be perfect.
I don't think it should be perfect, but when you say corn factor, I think of like Total Cheese Ball, like Godzuki.
I said little bit of a corn factor.
As long as, and there are giant monster battles in this. That's the footage they've shown is actually two monsters battling. It's Godzilla and something else. So we know we're going to in for a good time. I don't know why they're being so secretive about it. Just let it go. So the last bit of Geek Week news is, remember that mysterious trailer from J.J. Abrams called Stranger? Turns out everyone was wrong. It's not for Star Wars. It's not for film. It's for a book.
Oh.
A book that he didn't write. A book that he kind of conceived and someone else wrote. And I'm just wondering, that was an awful lot of effort to tease something that nobody's going to read, because let's face it, people don't read anymore.
Unless it's audiobook form, I guess.
Well, I'm just saying, you know what? Look who conceived it.
Right.
He makes movies. So obviously, he's going to turn this one into a movie at some point in time. We're just going to wait for the movie. I mean, the trailer had everybody guessing. They thought it was a glimpse into what he was doing with Star Wars. It's some new project. The dude's mouth is all sewn shut. It's all black and white. It's creepy. It's for a book called S. Is anyone going to read it? That's my big, big question. No one reads. Why bother doing this instead of turning it into something bigger like a movie or a series?
It's a unique advertising technique.
Well, they're starting to do a lot of trailers for books. It's quite interesting, the sheer amount of trailers for books, because there's not really a whole lot to show.
Right.
Like, I think it started with Guillermo del Toro's The Strain. He did a whole bunch of awesome trailers that were like motion comics. And then they started doing for everything, like, here's a tree. Watch it stop motion grow. Read our book. Okay, yeah, no. Find a better way to do
Maybe
it.
people will pick up a book and read it. I don't know.
Maybe if J.J.
Kids
Abrams
stay
behind
in school.
Yeah, educate. Yeah. So that's been our Geek Week news for the week. And because I have Dean here, we're going to talk really quick about Ben Affleck as Batman. We don't have a slide for this, but we haven't actually gotten to talk about this because I'm pro Ben Affleck Batman, and he apparently is con.
It's not that I'm con Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck's an incredible actor. I think
He also thinks Tom Cruise is incredible.
He is.
No, he's not.
And I think that over the years, he's continued to perfect his craft. We can see that in Argo, obviously. But I think that he's one of those actors, almost like what happened, with Luke Skywalker or the Harry Potters, where you just become this type of character, this kind of Jersey type feeling character, where I just don't know if that's going to translate well with a lot of Batman fans. And I really think that Eric Bana should be the next Batman.
He was already the Hulk, and it didn't work there.
That didn't work with the studios.
He did make a good Hulk. However, I think it's a really good fit for Batman because what they built in Man of Steel was their launch of their DC cinematic universe. And so I only wonder why they're going older with the superheroes as opposed to younger.
Because of Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck's a little bit older. When I watched the trailer for Runner, which I think is the dumbest name for a movie ever, he plays the bad guy in it, and he's got this stoicness to him that I can see coming through in a Batman. I think he'd play really well off of Henry, I can't even pronounce his last name, Superman. I think the two of them together on a screen would be just, it's awesome dynamite. And as everybody says, remember, no one thought Heath Ledger could pull off the Joker either. We were all very, very wrong. I wasn't. I thought he'd be a good Joker. I'm going to say that right now. But
After the fact.
yeah, after the fact, I could get away with it because I wasn't on TV at that point in time. However, I think it's going to be perfectly fine. But the whole Justin Bieber thing yesterday, I knew that was not going to possibly be true. Did you not know?
No.
Justin Bieber
I
tweeted a
don't keep up with
picture of
Justin Bieber.
himself with the Batman script with him as Robin on it. Because apparently he wanted to convince people they wanted him to be Robin, and the internet blew up even more than a cat video.
Yeah.
And it
that
was
would
done
be-
in conjunction with this website as like a really bad prank.
It'd be released straight to DVD.
Yeah, it'd be worse than the previous Batman movies. I'd rather watch Mr. Freeze with light up nipples than Justin Bieber.
Oh.
I'm not going to lie.